think since I was young, I started off like at 13 or 14, I had a lot of like social anxiety, and I didn't really feel comfortable being in big groups of people. And so I wanted to force myself to interact with people. So I started doing only customer service jobs. I was a bag boy for about 3 years, and then I worked at Blockbuster Video for 3 years. Being able to say something to make someone smile or make them happy, it just made me feel good, and I just became addicted to that. Like I always wanted to interact with people, and at a tattoo shop, that's all it is every single day. My dad was a school teacher, and my mom took care of everything around the house. We didn't have much, dude. It was, pretty humble, but my mom gave me spirituality, and then my dad instilled in me like hard work and, also just trying to do the right thing. My dad grew up boxing. I think he was a little bit shorter, and he had an accent, and then there's always bullies and people trying to fuck with you, dude. So it's like, he just grew up defending himself, and I think he just decided to be a little bit more serious about it and learn how to box. I remember being a little kid and him teaching me how to throw a jab, left hook, and how to defend myself, basically. We'd watch Mike Tyson fights, and I think Mexican culture is so attached to boxing, like there's so much tradition, and I just grew up in that type of environment. Yeah, like when we were growing up in Southeast or just different neighborhoods in San Diego, there was like graffiti everywhere. It just intrigued me because these are all they're like superheroes. You don't know who they are, they're anonymous, and it's always like trying to do the most with the least amount of supplies or means to accomplish something. You could be the poorest kid in the neighborhood, and if you're able to get a marker, then you could express yourself. And so I think people hate graffiti because they've been taught to hate graffiti. They've been taught that if they see graffiti, that means that there's gang members or that there's people that are going to try to rob you or hurt you. And mostly it's just like they're communicating with each other, To me, San Diego is basically the city that's closest to Mexico. And so culturally, it's such a big thing. Like, we used to go to Mexico every weekend. We'd go to visit family. And to me, that's always been a big aspect of what San Diego is. It's like the city right next to Tijuana, So like the cultures come together so much here in San Diego. And because it's also a Navy town, so many people have immigrated here. And so I think of it as a very diverse place, so many different types of neighborhoods, and there's a history to it. In high school, I was always interested in art. And so I was painting a mural. I had just quit my job. I told myself I just wanted to be an artist. I didn't know what that meant at the time. I think like my dad worked so hard to provide, and he wanted me to be a successful person and also have a secure job, So I think they didn't really see what the future was going to be, And I was painting a mural, and my friend Jesse Mercado comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, I'm opening up a tattoo shop, and if you're interested, I'd want to teach you how to tattoo." And my initial response was like, "No, I'm going to be like, a gallery artist," and I didn't even have any tattoos, so I couldn't appreciate what a tattoo was. And a couple days later, I was no money, hungry, and I'm like, holy shit, dude, like, okay, let me try this tattoo thing, just as a job, And then as soon as I started my apprenticeship, started getting tattooed and learning about tattooing, I just fell in love with it. And the same thing happened with jiu-jitsu. It's like, well, when I fall in love with something, I keep going deeper and deeper, and I just can't stop, And so that's what happened with jiu-jitsu and tattooing and graffiti, and and painting and all these other mediums. I'm one of the few friends of mine that I think like had no desire to leave even my own neighborhood. Like I just wanted to I feel like I invested this amount of time here and I've met so many great people here and my family is here, so I never wanted to leave San Diego. I think I felt myself getting a little bit older, and so I wanted to have a place for my kids to have a place to work if they ever wanted to learn how to tattoo. Also just have a little bit more control over the creative environment that I'm in, you know? So having the tattoo shop, I think of it as an art project in itself, you know, and I almost think of it as an installation. Like when you go to an art gallery and you walk in and there's all types of different mediums happening, it's almost like a performance art, you know? I'm in there and there's all these different paintings, and I feel like the people that I work with, Joe and Corey and Analia and Sebastian, they're like a huge part of the energy of the shop. And so once you walk in the shop, you get to experience all that. The thing that I try to remember every day is just to be grateful. It's just to be like, okay man, like you're living in San Diego. It's one of the nicest cities in the world. And so for me to ruin someone's day by being in a bad mood or being around someone and they could feel my energy isn't happy, then I feel guilty. So I don't want to feel that guilt. I want to make sure that I appreciate what I've been given and try to give something back.
Sueños de cielo que tuvo sin hambre en la escuela. Volaría lejos a secarle el rocío una estrella. Señora Diana la vi a su ventana asomada. Siesta sin sueño que mece su sombra en la alcoba. Buscará en su cielo, porque abajo otros niños no sueñan.